Hi, it's Kate here with Marvelous Videos. Today we take a look at Lovecraft's Cthulhu Mythos, a fear of the unknown and unknowable. Explained. When it comes to supernatural literature, there is one name that cannot be skipped no matter what, and that is H.P Lovecraft. His contribution is the greatest of all. His series of stories laid the foundation of cosmic horror through his incomprehensible and terrifying alien monsters. Lovecraft's works mainly revolve around the fear of the unknown, which in fact is one of the greatest stimulants of fear. The universe is vast, and we are all very negligible compared to the cosmic gods, and with this thought in mind, he builds up his wide variety of deadly creatures, some of whose appearance itself might drive us crazy. These creatures interlinking strange alien worlds and imaginations make up the mythos. Even outside the mythos, he creates the idea that the world is a strange place, with dark science and beings so evil that their own malice has deformed them into horrible creatures. Lovecraft's dreamscape is well put up in 23 of his greatest weird tales, including the Call of Cthulhu, the Colour Out of Space, the Dunwich Horror, the Shadow over Innsmouth, and the Shadow Out of Time. The Cthulhu is one of his fictional monsters, and was first introduced in the short story The Call of Cthulhu in 1928. Since then, the creature has featured in numerous popular culture references, with various designs from eminent artists. It's one of the prime monsters in the Lovecraftian universe, along with others. In today's video, we will be unfolding the Cthulhu Mythos with Cthulhu along with various other powerful monsters. So Lovecraftian fans, let's dive into the Cthulhu Mythos. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. A mysterious origin story of Cthulhu. Cthulhu, one of H.P Lovecraft's most iconic creatures, has a cryptic origin story and talents that contribute to his terrible skills. Cthulhu is an eternal godlike creature, whose origin and abilities are unknown to humans. When H.P Lovecraft penned The Call of Cthulhu in 1926, he horrified readers with Cthulhu, a hideous entity who emerged from the sea and reformed after a boat collided with it. Despite the fact that this is the creature's only physical attributes, there have been physical representations of Cthulhu that remained a part of popular culture. The genesis of Cthulhu was revealed to readers in sections of The Whisperer of Darkness and The Mountains of Madness. The protagonist of the 1931 novella The Whisperer of Darkness, literature instructor Albert M. Wilmoth, learns about the Great Old Ones, a race of cosmic creatures from the depths of space. It's disclosed here that Cthulhu is one of the Great Old Ones, which include all of the cosmological creatures in the Lovecraftian mythology. While there are references to a battle in the depths of space, at the Mountains of Madness emphasize that Cthulhu and the Great Old Ones were all at war with one another. Cthulhu arrived on Earth and created the city of Earlier out of thin air before hibernating and taking the city with him to the ocean depths. This is when Call of Cthulhu enters the picture. The monster was described as having a vaguely anthropoid shape, but with an octopus-like head whose face was a mass of feelers, in the 1926 short tale. Since Cthulhu's tenure on Earth, a cult of Cthulhu has grown, spreading all across the world. The goal of this doomsday cult was to awaken the Old One and usher in an apocalyptic period of darkness, in which the human race would kill itself in a fit of craziness. This narrative also revealed some of Cthulhu's incredible powers. A single glimpse of the creature's visage would make a human insane, implying that the video game based on the short tale comprehended the character best, by giving him only a quick cameo at the conclusion. Cthulhu's immense power is difficult to understand, as he's near godlike and immortal. Cthulhu's visage easily reforms when the protagonist of the narrative smacks it in the head with a boat. Cthulhu also has psychic talents and can converse telepathically, as if that wasn't enough. As a result, it was able to establish a cult while sleeping. The most intriguing aspect about Cthulhu is that it's not the most formidable creature in Lovecraft's canon. That honour goes to Azathoth, the creature of the world and ruler of the cosmic pantheon. In actuality, Cthulhu is simply a footnote in Lovecraft's writings in the big scheme of things. So what's the big deal with Cthulhu? Why is it important for people to know if Cthulhu will emerge in Rick and Morty? What distinguishes this creature? Well, according to Publishers Weekly, Lovecraft's works, such as The Colour Out of Space, are nevertheless horrifying to current audiences, and have had a lasting impact on society and the horror genre. Past that point, people have a strong apprehension about what is beneath, and Cthulhu excels in this regard. The Cthulhu Mythos development. In his article H.P. Lovecraft and the Cthulhu Mythos, Robert M. Price observes two stages in the formation of the Cthulhu Mythos. The first stage, or Cthulhu Mythos proper as Price refers to it, developed during Lovecraft's lifetime, and was influenced by him. The Cthulhu Mythos includes the elements, characters, places, and themes that may be found in the works of H.P. Lovecraft and other horror fiction writers. They comprise the mythos upon which writers working in the Lovecraftian setting have relied upon, and continue to rely in crafting their novels. August Derleth, a writer, is credited with coining the word. Although this legendarium is occasionally referred to as the Lovecraft mythos, most notably by Lovecraft researcher S.T. Joshi, has long evolved beyond Lovecraft's original idea. The second stage came after Lovecraft's death, when August Derleth sought to categorize and extend the mythos. Writer Richard L. Tierney later used the phrase Derleth mythos to differentiate between Lovecraft's writings and Derleth's later stories. During the later half of Lovecraft's life, the authors of the Lovecraft Circle, a group of writers with whom Lovecraft communicated, shared a lot of tale material. Lovecraft realized that each author had his own story cycle, and that a component from one cycle would not inevitably become a part of another, merely because a writer utilized it in one of his stories. For example, while Smith may reference Cthulhu or Yog-Sothoth in one of his Hyperborean stories, this would not imply that Cthulhu is a member of the Hyperborean cycle. A noteworthy exception is Smith's Tsathoggua, which Lovecraft adopted for his rewrite of Zelia Bishop's The Mound. Lovecraft effectively related Smith's invention to his story cycle by setting Tsathoggua in underground Canyon, with Tulu, Yig, Shub-Niggurath, and Nug-N-Yep. The majority of the elements of Lovecraft's mythos were not a result of cross-pollination between the various Lovecraft Circle story cycles, but were instead developed by each writer, specifically into becoming part of the mythos, the most striking example being the numerous arcane grimoires of verboten lore. So in The Children of Night, Robert E. Howard's character Friedrich von Jantz reads Lovecraft's Necronomicon, and Lovecraft in turn references Howard's Unersprechlichen Kulten in both Out of Eons and The Shadow Out of Time. Howard communicated often with H.P. Lovecraft, and the two would occasionally use references or pieces from one another's settings in their writings. Later, editors rewrote several of Howard's original Conan stories, diminishing this relationship. Nonetheless, several of Howard's uncut Conan stories are undoubtedly Cthulhu Mythos related.
When there is nothing left but to live or die.
The second stage commenced with August Derleth, who expanded on the mythology and created the elemental system, which linked the pantheon to the four elements of air, earth, fire, and water. It's critical to differentiate between Lovecraft stories in order to comprehend the adjustments that Derleth made to Lovecraft's mythos. According to Price, Lovecraft's works may be split into three groups: the Dunsanian, Arkham, and Cthulhu cycles. Instead of distinguishing between Lovecraft's many cycles, Derleth amalgamated them, discarding individual characteristics, to create a huge one-story cycle. Derleth, for instance, seized Nodens from the Dunsanian cycle and joined forces with the Elder Gods against the Old Ones. Derleth also added a good versus evil duality into the mythos, which contrasted with Lovecraft's and his immediate circle's gloomy nihilistic vision. Derleth appears to have classed any narrative that included a mythos aspect as belonging to the Cthulhu mythology, and so any other element in the story became part of the mythos as well. As a result, because Lovecraft mentioned Clark Ashton Smith's book, Book of Ebon, in passing, Derleth added Smith's Yubo-Sathler to the mythology. The mythos would actually develop greatly as a result of Derleth's vast canon. What is the essence of the mythos? The core of the mythos is that the human world and our place in it are a mirage. Humanity is trapped in a fragile bubble of awareness, oblivious of what lies beneath the drapes or even the curtains themselves, and our apparent dominion over the planet is false and fleeting. We are fortunate in that we are unaware of what lurks latent in the mysterious, shadowy places on Earth and even beyond. The most merciful thing in the world, I suppose, is the incapacity of the human mind to connect all its contents. Lovecraft famously starts his short novel, The Call of Cthulhu, with this statement. Individuals might occasionally, via chance or negligence, obtain a sight of or even encounter the old alien creatures that the mythology revolves around, generally with disastrous repercussions. Other times they are encountered by their non-human followers and slaves, whose presence shatters the worldview of people who come across them. Human followers are also present. Because of the limits of the human intellect, these deities' manifestations are frequently so overwhelming that they drive a person mad. They are shown as neither good nor evil. Under the mythos, these are notions created by our species to explain what are actually unexplained motives and deeds. The Call of Cthulhu was the first tale in which Lovecraft recognised and fully exploited these elements, which is why his mythos was eventually called after the entity in this story, since it set a new path in both his writing and the horror fiction genre. This is also Lovecraft's first and only narrative in which humanity and one of the supernatural creatures, known as the Great Old Ones, meet. Lovecraft employed less supernatural aspects in his last years of writing to portray the evils that beset mankind. Rather, he eventually replaced them with non-supernatural cosmic creatures and events founded on principles other than the natural laws of our own space-time continuum. This sci-fi theme is most evident in works like At the Mountains of Madness. Some interesting facts about the Cthulhu mythos. There is no right way to spell Cthulhu according to Lovecraft. Cthulhu is the most well-known of the universe's gods, yet he's far from being the most powerful. Azathoth, the sleeping blind idiot god, holds this place, whose name no lips dare proclaim aloud. The entire universe is merely a dream that will end abruptly if he wakes up. Lovecraft jokingly called his mythology Yog-Sothothery. Scariest monsters from Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos. H.P. Lovecraft's writings are plenty with strange monsters, but these 10 may have been the most terrifying of them all. Number 1. Nodens. Nodens originally appeared in Lovecraft's short story The Strange High House in the Mist, which was published in 1926. The figure is based on Nodens, a Celtic god who was revered in ancient Britain. The deity has the appearance of a ferocious elderly man with grey hair and a big beard. He is claimed to travel on a chariot made of a massive seashell, and the entire thing is pushed by legendary creatures. In the novella The Dream Quest of Unknown Ka-thulhu, he reappears. Number 2. Nyarlathotep. Nyarlathotep, also known as Crawling Chaos, is a demonic shape-shifting deity who's supposed to be capable of taking 1,000 different forms. The figure first appeared in Lovecraft's poem Nyarlathotep, which was published in 1920. He also featured in the stories Unknown Ka-thulhu's Dream Quest, Fungi from Yugoth, and The Dreams in the Witch House. Nyarlathotep, like practically every other monster in the Cthulhu mythos, is so terrifying that just seeing him is enough to drive a human mad. What makes this monster particularly frightening is that he can, and regularly does, take on the guise of a human, an Egyptian pharaoh no less. Number 3. Azathoth. Azathoth, also known as a blind idiot god or nuclear chaos, is a formidable but cognitively limited cosmic monster that first appeared in a published Lovecraft tale in the Dream Quest of Unknown Ka-thulhu, and is later mentioned in The Whisperer in the Darkness and The Haunter of the Dark. Azathoth is thought to float at the heart of the cosmos, dormant at all times. Less powerful gods use cosmic drums and flutes to lull Azathoth to sleep. The deity is shaped like a demonic cloud formation. It's thought that if Azathoth awakens for a minute, he has the capacity to annihilate the human race. Number 4. Yipsil. Yipsil is characterised as a giant humanoid entity, with bat wings and eyeballs divorced from its head, and it's constantly suckling cosmic vampire kids, making the figure somewhat effeminate. The character is claimed to be able to see everything in the cosmos at any given time, and to be able to travel between time and space with ease. It can even choke individuals with its dark alien blood. Number 5. Ymagnetho. Ymagnetho, or the Feaster from the Stars, is a ruthless god hell-bent on annihilating humanity. When he is brought to Earth, he's supposed to resemble a small ball of fire, and the reptile beings of another world adore him as a deity. Number 6. Ygolunak. Ygolunak the Defiler was invented by Ramsey Campbell, and first appeared in the 1969 novella Coalprint. Ygolunak is like the Marquis de Sade of Cthulhu Mythos. He's the deity of perversions and evil desires. Ygolunak, like Voldemort, may be summoned simply by saying his name. He is comparable to Nyarlathotep in that he can change shape and dwell among people, but he is far more malevolent. He frequently appears as an obese guy with no head or neck and mouths in his palms. Number 7. Glarky. Glarky is said to have the appearance of a large slug with long metallic spines. Glarky also possesses eyes at the tips of lengthy tentacles that serve as telescopes on a submarine. Ramsey Campbell developed the character who first appeared in his novella The Inhabitant of the Lake. Glarky initially arrived on Earth as a meteor according to folklore. He's exceedingly lethal. He can kill people by injecting them with a highly poisonous fluid through his spines. The fluid is so potent that it has the potential to convert the afflicted into a zombie servant. Number 8. Lukathu. Lukathu, also known as the birth womb of the Great Old Ones, is a globe of intestines and entrails the size of a planet. It's reported to be moist and covered with warts and pustules, with each pustule carrying an immature larva of a Great Old One. James Ambuel developed the character, which is thoroughly discussed in Ambrew's tale Correlated Contents. Number 9. Mordigian. Clark Ashton Smith invented Mordigian, who first appears in the novella The Charnel God. Mordigian is a vacuumous, amorphous being who absorbs all of the heat and energy around him, significantly reducing the temperature of wherever he is at any one time. He is revered among ghouls. Mordigian assaults his victims by consuming their energy and literally disintegrating their bodies, much like Kirby and a Komodo dragon. Number 10. Yeek. Yeek, the Serpent Father, emerges as a snake-man hybrid, a serpent with bat-like wings, or a huge snake. Yeek initially appeared in Lovecraft's novella The Curse of Yeek, which was first conceived by Zelia Bishop and later rewritten by him. He's a kind of person until you cross him, and then you have to answer to his progeny, his army of slithering minions. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks!